Sooner or later, it will turn in your favor. Oh, yes, that is version, Michelle. It will not always be like this. It's turning around for you. Of course, that's the title of the song. Welcome back to Thriving in Abundance Talk. Igama lami Zodwa Msimang Nsibande, and of course, we are still on Youth Month, and we've got the Youth Month special for you. And kuyintokozo kakhulu ukuthi ngiphinde ngamukele again Sibusisiwe Ntuli, the CEO of Innate Solutions. Mantuli, welcome back.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm giving Zulu French.
Lalela, asidlali kwaZulu madam.
Yes, kwaZulu madam. I'm giving Zulu French. And I'm excited about getting into the second part of our conversation.
Yes, absolutely. It's such a joy, in fact, for us to be able to basikthole again. Ngoba siyayazi into kazibhizi phathisiwe lapha into ezinkulu ezizoletha ama solutions for our beautiful country South Africa. Mhlawumbe ke sithi nje recap kancane nje into ezimbalwa 1 or 2 lapha sikhulumele kakhulu ngendaba yamabhodi simhlomisa umuntu omusha ukuthi if you are thinking of going towards that direction iziphi izinto okufanele uyibheke. Sase sikhuluma ngendaba yokuthi ke nansi inkinga ekhona ye unemployment, especially of young people in our beautiful country. Wawusucosha ke izinto ezithile lapha structural ezingathi zizona eziwumsuka ekufanele siqale sibheke nje before size sibhekane ngqo nenkinga. Akucoshe nje 1 or 2 bese siyakwazi ukuqhubekela ke namhlanje. We want to look into solutions. Yini engafanele yenzeke ukuze silekelele isimo sase South Africa.
So I think it was important in our first session,
Yes.
to contextualize why siyithola kulesi simo esisona.
Absolutely.
And I think what we tend to do very simplistically is overlook what the information and the trends are showing us. And I wanted us to go to that because also I know that it's so easy to make this issue somebody else's problem when it's actually all of our problem. And the solutions are not going to come from one front, they're going to come from multiple fronts. So, just understanding how it comes to pass that we have this whole generation, really, if you consider the last, if you look at the statistics, if you consider how many people we have in the country who are aged under 40, this whole generation of people who you can't say are not destined to work. No, we can't say that. So we have to look at what is behind that and look at the structure of systems and look at the formation of, the same way apartheid was a system by design, poverty is a system by design. And there's so many constructs in a society, how you are educated, skilled, etc., are all systems by design. And it's about, once we're aware of the system, how then do we integrate? And what role do we specifically play? And what can we delegate? And I think it was so important for us when we start the skills conversation that, no one can delegate their own future and the future of their children to anyone.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You are ultimately, I mean, we're all born with it. You are ultimately past even these systems and structures, and I think you are ultimately given the ability to also transcend a system, much like people since time immemorial. I mean, past before the beginning of the Bible, people have overcome systems set in place. Principalities, royalty, governments, oppression. They've always done it. So we must ask ourselves that, how do we, in our own personal spaces, once we know what it is that is at play, how do we then work through our minds, ourselves, to push past those things and get closer to specific answers.
Yeah.
I know we like to say, well, what are people supposed to do? And it is difficult.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider that, you know, as a generation again, we're pushing through 2-3 generations worth of attitudes, mindsets, conditioning, socialization, right? And the hardest thing it is to be the person in your class, your person in your community, the person in your family who decides this ends with me. Hardest position to be in.
But somebody must take the position.
But somebody needs to take the position.
Yeah.
And when it then ends with you, what is then next? How are we going to do it differently? You know, I think we all get, and I mean in every sphere of life, we're all disappointed and dejected and rejected by the word no. We hear no so many
so
times,
often,
right? That eventually, even before you do a thing, you have counted yourself out because you're so used to rejection, right? But what we do is we internalize your rejection, and then we begin to believe we are the rejection and the failure. Whereas every time you're rejected or something goes wrong, you almost need to sit down in the depths of it and say, okay, what did I learn? Why was it no?
Yes.
What were you against, etc., etc. And then as you move on to the next thing, you go try again because what you can do better. But if not, what's the next thing for yourself? It can't just end, you know. And I think that is something that is hard to do, but it is something that we've got to be conscious and aware of. That life is going to disappoint us. People are going to disappoint us. You know, the future is going to disappoint us. Systems in a country are going to disappoint us. But does that then kill us? And sometimes you can be the walking dead. And time will take time, but the time will still pass. So if it passes, then what? And I think that's where young people find themselves now. If this problem related to skills and unemployment started when you left school at 18, the time will still pass. You will wake up one day and you'll be 29 or 30, right? Isikhathi sizazodlula. But yini le wena in the time ozoba usafunile ukuthi uzame ukuthi uyenze uhlangabezane.
Yes. This is why again now I want us to take it to the next level in terms of because obviously, as you were saying, it's not a part of the society that is responsible, just not one part. So it's all of us that need to take responsibility of certain things so that we can then start moving our country forward. Okay, there's government, there is business, and then there is civil society. Bese kuba wena kumuntu omusha. So ngifisa ukuthi masibheka ama solutions namhlanje Mantuli sibheke lezi ingxenye ukuthi iyiphi indima ekufanele idlaleke so that sizokwazi ukuthi sithole practical workable solutions and that can be implemented implementable because I'm saying this ngoba zikhona izinto uhulumeni lokho ephohloza lapha afake babambisane nebhizinisi kodwa kubangazi ukuthi akufinyelele kahle kumnyombo wendaba.
And that sometimes is the problem with making this social problem, because it's a social problem, right? The problem of two parties. Government and business. Government and business operate like at a realm and a level that's almost hovers above society in many instances. Policy, regulation, strategy, etc. But when right now you need to put food on the table and you need to be actively occupied. And so that's why they're also not necessarily the only people who can be responsible, because umuntu omusha ongakaze akonfrontane nokuthi how do I change government policy to help me? Of course you're gonna find yourself ume phambi kodonga ngoba awazi And also and there's a whole lot of impediments that of course will tire you out, right? Whereas if you are saying to yourself, okay, how do I shift myself from one level of thinking, from a certain attitude, into spaces that I believe will give me either the greatest chance of or proximity to what I will need to get. In our first episode, I spoke about discomfort. Abantu abasha bafuna soft life. And soft life, I think, as a concept, is something I think, it's definitely something that we can all aspire to, right? But again, I think the big question, Mailana Nayo, is that who is responsible for giving it to you?
Yes. You have to give it to yourself.
So you have to give it to yourself.
Yes.
And the only way you can give it to yourself is that you've got to be doing something, preferably legal, that will unlock your ability to work, but also then play and play hard if you need to.
Oh,
and
of course. Why not?
And why not?
If you have worked hard enough and smart enough,
you can play harder. You know, why do you anticipate Oguti somebody else must wake up and do the thinking work and the working work, and then you just accrue the benefits of that? And that is why young people often, because of that, right, also find themselves in positions where they're exploited, right? That's where exploitation begins. Is that what's and so that's got to start with yourself.
Yes.
And that discomfort, and even these uncomfortable conversations and truths that we've got to have amongst ourselves about as young people about our expectation of who, right, is something that we find ourselves as a country where we have to have. You know, we live in a country at the moment that has a lot of volatility at many, many, many different levels. We live in a country right now where there is not any attention paid to young people. Everything related to young people is lip service, because we can see it in the numbers, in how young people are spoken about but not spoken to, etc., etc. And so the question becomes, if you're not being listened to and you're not being heard, you know, then what do you need to do differently even amongst yourselves? Because there's enough young people to also change the country, as it were, right? But because, again, it goes back to we're not willing to be uncomfortable, and we're not willing to have the discomfort related to messing up the status quo and that sort of thing. We also then find ourselves hostage and exploitable. I mean, 2024 is around the corner. There will be another election, and in another year or so, everybody will want to talk to young people. Right? So young people have been hungry, uneducated, unable to access work, unable to access democracy, basically, right?
In a way.
Without safety,
all these things,
security, food, etc. But in a year, everybody wants to talk to young people because they rely on young people to vote. That's young people being exploited, right? But that vote is also one of the most powerful things we have in our hand. Because people move into office because we vote, and when we don't want them anymore, we have to vote again to take them out and put in who we do want, right? And what young people have done in our country, if into
ngasebenzeli
long game immediately right? So we elections, we decide it's for the line. No, the reason you see nations around the world, and the reason you even see certain sections of our society, no matter how angry they are and what they spew, you'll see them lining up to vote. Lining up to vote. It's because they know they're a citizen of a country and a society and a player in the economy, etc. That vote is the most powerful thing ever that you have. It's free, but it's yours. And your one vote could be the difference between somebody getting a 9 or a 10 and somebody moving in and out. And we don't realize that that is our incremental value. And it becomes the thing upon which we build to change all types of systems, right?
Yes.
So that is something even within the context of education, is we're not taught, right? But what are the civil duties of a citizen, no matter how old they are, that allow them to change their own country for good? And I mean, any country that you look at right now, where they have responses to youth unemployment, youth challenges, etc., you find youth who participate. And Tina, we want to participate because somebody's either going to give us something now. You know, something must pass now. Somebody must give us a freebie now, etc.
Yeah.
In these spaces, young people participate with no immediate reward available to them. But they know that if they don't participate early and frequently and like constantly in people's faces, they know that they were going to inherit a junk status country. So, I mean, you look at countries today that have young people who are MPs or progressive countries. Look at Canada. Or Trudeau. Trudeau started in politics as a 20-year-old. He finished university. He comes from a political family, but he's worked in different positions everywhere, across government, in the private sector, everywhere.
Preparing.
Right? Participate for nothing.
It's being intentional.
Intentional. For nothing, but he's president today, and his whole cabinet is full of people under the age of 40.
Wow.
Full of it. And what is Canada? Canada is one of the most progressive nations in the world. Canada has accommodations in society that we all sit there. Hey, masibuka.
Ningahambi bo, ningahambi siyandinga ekhaya.
Yes, do you know what I mean?
Asibukeleni lapha sikopele ukuthi nansi into enhle abayenza. Sizoyibuyisa kanjani ekhaya because we want to make South Africa shine and be bright again, and it's possible.
And I mean, I just want to make like a local example. And again, it's a participation example of something that's local. You know, just outside of Durban, there is a municipality, Umgeni municipality, Hawick, etc.
Sithule siyabuka.
There's a mayor there who's under 30. Deputy mayor is also like 26, 27.
Quite young, both.
Very young. Very young. They're under 30. Yazi. They're my new fan. The fan follow. My page abo because
It's so true.
Yes, I mean they have not been in office long. Kodwa aibo emgeni, aibo emgeni. And as a young person, you see young people who started, you know, a long time ago in public participation to have an interest to serve other people.
An interest to serve other people. An interest to serve other people. I want us to repeat that because it's key.
To serve other people.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think what we've come to expect is perfection in systems. So, and perfection in systems from imperfect people. And yeah, sure, you know, politics, business, everywhere. There are imperfect people making decisions, making mistakes every day, corrupting systems, being corrupted, and whatnot and so forth. The same way young people get exploited, other people are also getting exploited or exploiting. Because there are no perfect people, and because people are behind systems, that is why no system is perfect. But what intention do you carry into the spaces that you want to move into?
What intention do you carry into the spaces that you want to move into? Wena muntu omusha, wena.
Yes, you know, what intention do you carry?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm such a big believer in this. The universe meets you where you are. The universe meets you where you are. And you know, you could even take it in so many different ways. And I think every way you look at it, whether you try to find it in philosophy, you try to find it in scripture, you try to find it in science, whatever. Science, you'll find a catalyst. And in philosophy, you'll find the universe meeting you where you are. In scripture, you'll find it being Jesus said, I will help you if you help yourself. He didn't say, I'm going to help you sitting there. You know?
Yeah.
Jesus dealt with sinners.
Yeah.
Broken right throughout
Every
the Bible.
day.
Every
Every
day.
day. In
You
fact,
know?
that's what he specialized in.
That's what he specialized
dealing with
in,
brokenness.
broken people who society had written off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Universally, the same story applies. They say, yo, it feels like the game is over. But it's got to meet you where your intention is.
Yes.
And I think
that's
as young
powerful.
And I think as young people, because of this, right, our world is very instant. And therefore, seeing the expectation.
Instant gratification.
Instant, right? Soft life. Who should do it for us? We're also very entitled.
Wema.
You know, like umhlaba kaBabaNkulunkulu is not our parents. I mean, the only people who might care about what comes of us and where we go and what we grow into might be our parents.
Yeah.
And local, you're on your own. Right? So everything we see here, especially on our phones, is a result. Right? Like it's like a Google search. Google search, you put my result. But somebody sat and researched it. Somebody wrote it. Somebody managed the search engine optimization. Number one.
Yes.
And we don't want to take account for that.
Yeah.
Everything is a system and a build-up. You know, and if we approach life that way, I think with just a touch of intention, but also with e-process thinking, systems thinking. Systems thinking, you show uyenza off the internet. And I mean, you guys can Google it, by the way, guys.
Yes.
Systems thinking, uyenza kuma MBA, uyozufe.
However,
design thinking, the process thinking. I will be step so to figure.
Why I'm laughing so much because ngeke ukufunda lapha ngenza iprogram ye social entrepreneurship and I'm like ilento ngaphathwa ekhanda. Of course sengithe ukukhula but ke asikho lapho okusalayo ngiyifundile
ubonile ukuthi i-systems thinking ne-design thinking yinto ekhona. And you see, ezinye izinto that should be in school. Why umuntu ephuma ka-matric engagazi leyo model?
Yes, now we are talking.
Because kulesi sikhathi also we would be far more capable and equipped to make decisions, to decide what's for and not for us, CRP, and how to structure what we want. Now you just release grade 12s into the world and you tell them that they're adults and buy pets and they've never managed a pencil. Of course, you know, and that's where we find ourselves. But anyway, let's move to practicality of solutions now,
absolutely,
around the skills question.
Yes.
Okay. So in the skills question, and I'm going to speak to everybody in almost steps at these points, right? In the skills question, if I'm specifically speaking to somebody who is still in basic education, like the basic education system, no matter where you find yourself in the basic education system, and I guess I might even be speaking to a parent or a guardian or an older sister or an older brother of somebody who knows people in the basic education system. When we were on the first episode, we touched on the 4 pillars of why basic education and early education, early childhood development, structurally is supposed to develop in a human being.
Yes, right? Yes.
And I am just, you know, today, you know, ingane lezi ezala zimbethe iskaf sase Louis Vuitton zidla ngey'ndishi zase Le Coeur zonke ihambe occupational therapy. Zonke ihambe occupational therapy. Zenza these sensory things, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And these are just a function of the reason children end up at occupational therapists and end up having to do all of these things is because we don't help children be the best possible children they can be.
Children.
Right? Yes, we don't help children be the best possible children, you know, they can be. Right? And sure, you feed your kids. Your kids have the latest games and phones. Your kids have a home. Your kids have, right? But do your kids feel psychologically safe with you just about the state of their world. Kids today are exposed to so much trauma, right? Trauma coming off their phones, trauma about things and events that are happening in society. In the last 3 or 4 years, a lot of kids have lost family members. There's been a lot of death. They saw looting, for instance, around the country, and had to wonder whether they would have schools and if their friends are alive. Kids in South Africa are subjected to crime and everything else. Are kids safe? Psychologically safe? Do your kids feel like they can talk to you about the things that challenge them, right?
Yeah.
And then another level, if you are interacting with children in the basic education, I spoke about let them be the best possible children they can be. Let children discover. Let children play.
Yes.
Yes. Again, back to this highly digitized world of ours. Kids, you know, I don't like gaming. I don't like... I mean, shame because I'm just so old school and maybe in certain of my approaches to things, but it's because you also see the results of them on the other side and
input,
with
output,
far-reaching consequences,
as you were saying.
Right? Everybody's a gamer. All the kids want to be content producers, and it's like, and that for some people is definitely
good,
possible, and it's good that they will make proper careers out of it and livings out of it.
But it can't be everybody.
But it's not everybody. Exactly. And we all can't be that, right? So how are children being exposed to what else is out there and available to them?
Yes.
Are kids only seeing what's available to them because or because we're allowing them to interact with human beings, living, breathing human beings? Community. You know, do we allow children to go to the library? Do we take our children intentionally? You know, everybody kind of wants to go overseas on these red holidays, and we're sitting in the thingy. We're sitting on yachts, you know, in Instagrammable locations.
Lord.
But if, for instance, there was intent around that, you know, when you take a child even to a place like Cape Town, you know, you or into a bush
and then you curate the experience.
You curate learning for your children, right? Yazi ingane, small things. If you ask a lot of kids manje, if you say to them, I'm not available, their next thing is, okay, no, it's fine, I can Uber there. And then you say, no, but Uber ngimaliam, so no. After that, inganyako is stuck. Ayazi how to move from point A to B. A lot of kids don't know walking is an option, right? They don't know. They don't see it as an option. Or go to walk, right? They don't know that millions of South Africans board public transport. Public transport in South Africa, it's got its issues that we read about and everything else. But millions of South Africans rely on it.
Yes.
You are raising a child that may not be able to be a global citizen if ingakwazi ukugibela i-public transport.
Ngoba i-public transport iyagitshelwa kwamanye amazwe.
I mean, in New York, you own a car. You own a car in London.
Like, really?
You own a train.
Yeah.
When unengane nyanyayo. You know? That's education, though. That's a function of education. Ucabanga ukuthi u-auntie lo amthanda kangaka ufika kanjani like hayi uyandiza. Like nani. You know? So that's education, right?
Yes.
And you know, unfortunately, because we also polarize ideas and we decide that maybe that growth for other members of society is because of their oppression and suffering. You've got to get to a point where we differentiate between what is oppression and suffering and creating umuntu who can problem solve, who's independent, who can fix through a thing, right? So umuntu who can go to town, angalahleki. Most kids, Tina, remember, you know, and I saw this during the floods, and it's horrible, and it really got me thinking.
Yes.
Growing up, we knew our landline number, Ekaya.
Yes.
By heart.
Yes.
543
543-1236.
Exactly.
KwaMashu Township.
Inamba yase office.
Yes.
And I guess it's the 4 cell phones, 0313048494. You know, you knew it off by heart. Kids also, you knew your address, you knew your parents' full names. You knew your own.
Yeah,
full
and their
name.
ID numbers.
And yeah, you knew those things.
Yes.
I saw this during the floods. Do you know how many missing children they were because they didn't know ukuthi ekhaya kukuphi?
Oh no.
Ingane zazi ukuthi makuyiwe endaweni kufakwa umaps. Kodwa
Yeah.
mawuthi akalandele imigudu yokuthi okay sikhombiseke ukuthi ekhaya kukephi.
All right. Yeah,
Right.
that's very actually quite yes. I
Ingane
never
don't
thought
know
about that.
cell phone
Yeah.
numbers zebazali because it's always on a phone. So what's your parents' full name? Hey, struggle. Ukuze even wena umzali, wena mawakhe, mama, i-ID number yalengane, angithi usufikile sekulahleke yonke into. I-ID number yalengane ithini? I mean, if you're arriving now esibhedlela, fanele uyoqala uyophansi uyovula. Angithi lezi zinto zihleli emafonini. Awazi. Oh, okay, problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And practical
Yes.
at home.
Yeah.
To anybody who's
So
got
this thing
people-
starts at home, in other words.
Yes.
Siqale la ekhaya, siqale la ekhaya.
And, you know, it's stupid stuff. It almost feels like stupid stuff because, yeah, we've always got phones. I mean, there was, remember that one night in 2020 or 21, kwacishe WhatsApp? Hey.
Baxesha bashona.
Ngoba abantu babuya ku WhatsApp that one night siyohlezi survivor noma yini. But the world went dark without WhatsApp.
Oh
right?
my goodness.
But then you need to think about it in this way. Imagine people who are in war zones, Ukraine, Syria, Ethiopia, etc. Right now, right? With children, with families, etc., with young people, and they don't have happy luxury
It's the
of
luxury.
running away with
Yeah.
a smartphone. I
Yeah.
mean, there's still people living in subways in Ukraine right now. I mean, that war is not over, and there are people who've been in those subways now for nearly 200 days, right? Since February this year, right? I connect to a club. I don't, right? Does that mean this? It's made it easier,
Yeah.
but it cannot
But it can't be
be
the
the
all.
only way your mind
Yes.
is able to process information. Because
Yeah.
now when I process the information,
Yeah.
it processes by land.
Yeah.
Every input gets an output and
Yeah.
a result.
Yeah.
Your mind needs
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And if umqondo womuntu, by the way, is not, and you need to train a brain. A brain's like a muscle.
Yeah.
If you don't train your brain to be adaptable to situations,
That's true.
you destroy your resilience,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you become a person who's not able to learn. Umuntu ongekho teachable, ongafundi and doesn't receive information and then processes into knowledge they can use, becomes umuntu who's very difficult ukuthi umqashe or integrate into anything that is next, right? Because izinto around you are changing fast.
Slow.
Unga-adapti uziyasala. Bese kube sengathi ushiwe abantu and khona abantu abazi izinto wena ufihlelwayo zona.
Yeah,
And there are
yeah.
people who are smarter. No. You need to train your brain into that.
Yeah.
And you know, the more you refine that ability to train your brain, those are the people who find opportunity.
Yeah.
Thina sike sithi
Yeah.
ingane iyaganga
Yeah.
when they discover something. So
Yeah.
uyaganga, right? No, shay discovery lapha. And sometimes you got to let somebody manage themselves out of a dangerous situation. Thina sithanda ukumlanda umuntu esehleli la kuleli shalofu.
Yes.
Miyeke akagibela qede aphenduke.
Usabe freak accident.
Yes, akagibela qede aphenduke.
Athi vupans.
No, abuke ngoba ugibele kukhona inhloso angithi.
Yeah.
Awumiyeke ukuthi process those full thoughts yakhe.
Yeah.
Right. So one of two things will happen at that point. Angithi yena usedecide ukuthi lapha. Angeke abuya spring. Uzodecide ukuthi okay, uyificile leya vazi and whoa, kukude phansi. Again, back to that thing we were talking about in the first episode about perception, right?
Yes.
Phansi kukude noma kuseduze. That's the only way you can learn perception is by testing it, to be honest, right? Or maybe lapha, okay, objective achieved, ngifikile fanele ngehle. Let them problem solve to the ground. Angithi ufikile. Akabuyi.
You know?
If ebuya ngamazinyo, that's a lesson. Yes.
I'm actually laughing so much because
Yes.
we used to have those episodes.
Yes.
There used to be a show la eVirginia.
Remember?
So abantu babegibela phezulu. Mangiqhamuka mina ngemoto ngibona abantu bephezulu. Of course I'm going to scream. Nibe wayini phezulu. Zolimala.
Yes, babuka amabhanoyi, which
Yes.
is educational
Yes.
ultimately.
Yes.
Look, how they're watching it is neither here nor there. How you perceive it, right?
Yeah.
But it's educational, right?
Yeah.
If ehlala phansi ngamazinyo, that's also going to be educational. Uzokwazi ukuthi amashalofu awathinto. That's educational, it's perceptual. So I'm na esibhedlela khulume no nurse laphana hlangana nama dancers. Iningi izinto azoyifunda ngale episode yakhe mayelana. Yabona nje, ziningi nje izinto zoba outcome. Kodwa it's either it'll be safe to or not. The other thing that we do when we stop people from navigating out of interesting situations is we condition fear, we condition
True.
self-doubt,
True.
and we limit confidence yabantu.
Yes.
You know, khona abantu abanetifikethi. We're talking about grads, and I meet amazing grads on a daily basis. Uphasile lo muntu wo A bodwa lapha ngisho university. Uphase usuma cum laude, ama-jazz onke akhona. Ngibeke phambi kwabantu ekwi-interview. Fail. You know why? I'm fearful of speaking to people.
Yes.
I have self-doubt.
Yes.
And I'm not confident to talk about what I'm able to do, what I'd like to learn, what this experience could do for me. I'm not confident about those things. So, incwadi ubhala uqedile.
Yeah, and this gives us sihle impela.
Sihle impela. Bebashayo ace yabona ngema-transcripts. Phambi kwabantu. We can't see it. Otherwise, we articulate it. So, and I think this one goes for probably everyone. Because once there is that doubt, that fear, and a lack of confidence about your ability to solve out, it doesn't, we could get everybody a place in university. But sitting in front of people, fanele manje, bamqashe, or take, like this person is not the person we want because they can't. And we don't know what they know because they can't tell us, right? So that's for everyone. And another practicality that we also need to look at, and I guess this is particularly for sort of people coming out of basic education, your grade 10s to 12s, and then moving into university, and even to your grads. There is a big problem that we have at the moment related to career guidance. We have life orientation as a subject at Colin, but I have no idea what they're teaching there because we still have high teenage pregnancy numbers. Children are still being abused and not knowing how to access help. You know, young people are not able to do these basic skills that we were just talking about now, but there's life orientation, but you're supposed to be teaching them through life. Young people leave high school in South Africa unable to operate a bank account. Like, how? Abantu abaningi end up in like their mid-20s, or ngalesi sikhathi mhlambe se applyele i-grant lega 350 kuyima igijima eya eCapitec eyovula ikhadi khona ezohola 350. But nobody said, people need to know how to manage money, right? The world revolves around money and the exchange of money, right? And the reality is you need to handle and manage real life money and see transactions work before ungene go internet banking. But mommy, you've got a credit card. I-credit card is kweleti, babes. Akulona lami e-bank bangafona manje bathumela o-CDC couriers azothatha i-card like because it's not your card, you know? And a lot of privileged kids think like that, Guti, but you've got a card and assume, no, it's not our money. And also, kids don't know how to manage cash.
Yes.
And this person, mind you, Uti, at 18, with the limitations they've got in the system, they must go an adult without the ability to manage money. Wow. So now we have to sit and say, okay, we do have to have cash. People must receive their pocket money in cash, do transactions, figure out how it works. You know how the system works.
Ngamane niqale nidlala istokfel endlini
Yes,
okungenani
a stokvel
ukuze
endlini,
nipractice lento bayibone.
And I mean, this is also also then how you find a university student who turns into a young grad and a young employed adult. Ingane ziyabisha in debt. They are baqale 2, 3, 4 years ago kusebenza. They're not even 28, 29 years old.
Bakuleta ini nganga?
Hayibo.
Basakhokhela uNSFAS?
No.
Oh.
It's of life. You must play. Yeah, you must participate. Ingane, you have yes, you have no business.
Oh my goodness.
You have no business without having assets, proper assets, man. A house to live in,
yes.
Wealth creating
assets,
etc. Yes, bephethe ama-handbag wena ongenayo uno ungenayo wena uno 20 years usebenza.
Yeah.
You have no business in Diamond Walk, and I mean it with love in my heart. You have no business ukuyongena a Diamond Walk without having secured your asset base.
Oh yes, your asset base. Your asset base.
I mean, if you come from poverty, it's happened, right? And you want to change things, but you're not going to heal wounding that poverty left you with things. If anything, things will show us where you are cracking and bleeding, and we see a lot of that online, where people who have, I would say, the moment you access money, and especially if you've come from difficulty, buy therapy. Like
blessed,
anything.
Broken and bleeding.
Yes. Tabanga, blessed, broken and bleeding. Combination le pelayo. Yes, it's a thing.
No, it was a sermon.
Yes.
By Sarah Jakes and
Women
like,
Evolve.
Whoa,
it is a real thing. And we see a lot of it in our country because poverty, like we spoke about in the first episode, and its cruelty leaves trauma. Generational trauma. And then generations try to solve for the next generation with comforts, etc., not realizing that these new things are creating a new cycle of harm. So rather, if we freshen money, let's go buy therapy first and then build things. So even that, I mean, I see young people, I'm always connected to a lot of young people.
Yes, yes.
28, une judgment when.
Oh.
But unama judgment from credit cards, angithi ngoba uthi yes. Swipe for my
and you're not paying attention.
When you're not paying attention, some months ikhona imali, other months ayikho.
Yes.
Unyukile upetrol ngale nyanga, 25 rand a liter. But your friends are saying, babes, we've got to get to Saint on Sunday. You're gonna drive there, you're gonna Uber there, whatever. Guess swipe. But to swipe imali, that's not even yours. Swipe it, right? You're always, and that sort of thing. And there's no stop, whatever. And then, of course, you've got enablers, right? And there's a lot of enablers. It's parents who are minage, substituting. You've got more enablers in the financial services markets. Every day you get a text saying, let's help you with your debts.
Yeah.
Then you've got your there's your glucose dads, your glucose parents, my glucose parents, your sugar parents, because I won't say just daddies, but there's also mommies. Your glucose parents are subsidizing your life, and then when your glucose parents is gone, you have to find another one because usunembobo in your lifestyle and your means, usunembobo, okay? And what it does,
it becomes
this black tax. This black tax. Oh, yes. Right?
No, black tax is real, guys.
Black tax, uhlule mabethu. Tina. And so Tina to now contend with utwala, and especially in a time when you have to carry so much you have to carry so much on so much that can only stretch so far.
Right?
In this economy and with everything that's happening around it.
Yes.
And those are things that people should be helped to deal with by the time they're in matric, but they don't know what they don't know, and it's getting worse and worse, and it's contributing to new problems, right? And those become the real skills revolution.
Yeah.
If you haven't taught somebody just that basic numeracy of for themselves. Earlier on in that first episode, I spoke about delinquent directors, right? You can't be a director if you've got judgment.
Oh yeah, no,
You're
absolutely
not allowed
not.
to.
Yes,
Like,
can you imagine? You've got all the potential and everything,
and people
but
have
just
identified
that.
you. You've gone through the whole process.
Yeah.
So far about financial services.
Yes,
You know, the FSC, the authority
Yeah,
to go
yeah.
get your approval.
Yeah.
Or so far about a security and a debt clearance thing. Judgment. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
problem,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You didn't know. You now is kind of enjoying land,
Yes.
but the opportunity that
Yeah.
you're working so hard towards
Yeah.
is gone.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you'll find with the squelettes as Edgar's that you
Yeah,
accrued in
yeah.
your first year of work.
Yeah, yeah.
But you didn't know.
Yeah. So young people,
So-
you have to be responsible. Like
Like
there's
for yourself,
absolutely no other way.
because
You have to be responsible for yourself. Of course, as parents, we also have to, take responsibility of certain things that we have to do differently, so that these children, they will turn out differently. But ngiyafisa nje
But
ngasemaphethelweni.
emaphethelweni as well around just what do young people also need to do.
Yeah.
I think what I've also painted here and the picture that I'm painting is I refer to it as we often painted perfect pictures with perfect people and
Yeah.
perfect outcomes.
Ayikho leyo
We
nto.
live in a huge amount of imperfection.
Imperfection.
Right?
Yeah.
And anybody's goal
Yeah.
at this point in time
Yeah.
must be to be productive.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I don't think the human being is put on earth ukuthi ihlale nje
Yeah.
and just be
Kanjani?
still.
Consume nje,
Kanjani?
consume.
Kanjani?
Consume.
Ubona, uzwa, able. Even if you're differently able, you're
Yeah.
able, right? And you're not just born. The purpose of you being here is not just to be. It is to become, right?
To become.
Now, if you understand that you're here to become, becoming is not a straight line.
Of course.
It's not a result.
Oh yes.
Becoming is many different
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ezikumoldayo, zikukhulisa isikole.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
where you will start or how your picture will look.
Of
So
course.
comparison again
Oh
is
yeah.
a problem.
It's a thief of joy, like for
Yes.
real.
And we have also been trained now to say we look down on specific opportunities and we look up at others. When, the real war for young people right now is a war of talent, right? And talent, as I was pointing out in some of these skills, is not the next black coffee who'll come out of South Africa.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Nelson Magamo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
All the big names.
all the big names
Yeah.
who are now
Yeah,
influential.
especially in the creative economy,
In the
because
creative,
young
yeah.
people like to gravitate more towards the creative economy.
The creative economy is visual, and
Yeah.
young people have an access to it because it's visual.
Yeah,
So the unsexy work isn't visual,
yeah,
and it's often the work that people are like, "Yo, inzima le, angeke ngingene." But often that is the work you actually want to be in because inimali. And I'll make a stupid example. As long as we have an appreciation of people need to eat every day, including you. Any young person who has a patch of grass, kubo, just ngaphandle kakubo, esikoleni sakhe, etc., can grow something.
yeah, true.
Even if ungasebenzi, mina ngiye ngithi yazi even kini ungasebenzi, but you can contribute to food security
Oh,
yala ekhaya.
yeah,
Goguthi, even though other people may be out besebenza, your contribution to us like ekhaya could be veg, fresh, organic, could be spinach
No.
ngasukumpa, and
no
and-
oven nakho konke izinto
yes.
sikhona faka lapha hlanganisa
lapha,
ufake
hlanganisa.
ku-oven kuphume isingo
Manje,
kuphume kumakhekhe
athi
kudliwe.
agcine umuntu building up things like resentment and tension and everything else. Uhleli yena akasebenzi. People start getting very creative in their ideas of why as well, and who is doing what in my neighborhood and my household and my family, etc., etc. No, pumpkin. Where you are, I need you to just Utamatis is 39 rand 99 a kilogram at the moment. Everybody needs tomatoes, including lomuntu ogini osebenzayo. If you can just contribute to food security, you're like, hi. It is an and it may be more than even the person who has money is currently able to stretch themselves to. Because ungathola ukuthi even umuntu uyena osebenzayo, they say no, nilale nidle uphuthu, because mayengagibelanga wafika emsebenzini fanele prioritize imali yokuhamba, right? And fanele nilambeke and nigcine nimzonda nithi akafuni ukunithengela ukudla kanti uyazi yena ukuthi umholo wakhe in this
can
economy
only
25 rand
do so much.
allows them to ukuthi ahole even in the first place
Yeah.
to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Nimzonda and
Yeah.
agcine naye engazi ukuthi uthini.
Yeah.
So that for me is a skill. And I think a lot of young people start things like grow something in their for their family.
Yeah.
In zamakhanda. So this is into that people now see ukuthi lokhu ngaphansi kwami.
Yeah.
Bake
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Luka abakundayo abawashi imoto.
Yes. Yes.
In this current economy,
Yeah.
umuntu who can articulate ukuthi nansi imizamo yami, as small as those are,
Yes.
will get the job more than umuntu ohleli.
Ohleli. Olinde
Because-
ukuthi
Olinde ukuthi because
ngizolinde ukuthi baze bangibize
Baze
for the
bangibize.
interview. What are you doing whilst
whilst
you're waiting?
waiting. What's happening
What are
in
you
the
doing?
in-between time?
Yeah.
I will hire someone who can show me
Yeah.
ukuthi ekuseni uyavuka. Ngoba phela umsebenzi masuthola umsebenzi wavuka.
Yeah.
Uyakwazi ukuvuka,
Yeah.
aplane,
Yes.
ahlanganise
Yes.
no resources. Ngoba
Yeah.
nasemsebenzini phela kusho ukuthi ukuthebelele.
Especially now,
Yes,
abukho
especially
ngempela
in
ukuthebelele.
companies.
Yeah.
Kodwa abe nama ideas ahlanganise,
Yeah.
acabange through,
Yeah.
ahlanganise lento
Ahlanganise
ayihlanganise
acabange through.
through.
A-implemente.
And
Angalindi nje ukutshelwa yonke into.
yonke into ngokulindile bese akwazi ukuthi aphume nesisombululo that solves a
A
bigger picture
solution.
issue.
Yeah.
Like, haya,
Solution driven.
I would rather employ somebody like that than umuntu mangibuza ukuthi okay, so you've been sitting at home for 3 years with
Yeah.
a degree. What
Yeah.
have you done in the meantime?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Can you then see that then you might end up actually hiring someone who doesn't necessarily have a degree or a diploma, but who has shown willingness to do certain things? Because when they are here, they will just have that much drive.
Yes. And we see it quite a lot. We actually see it quite a lot at the moment.
Yeah.
Where a person arrives quite young, but is overqualified and has no experience.
Yes.
And then they will question and argue with how did somebody who has less qualification than me end up hired,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because companies today, with just the same difficulties you have in your personal space, that people in the economy has in its bigger space, will hire resilient people. Will
Resilient
hire
people.
people who can think outside the box.
Of course.
Will hire for attitude.
Attitude.
With
Attitude.
a chip on your shoulder
Yeah.
and you don't want to work, then don't come and interview and waste people's time and block the path for people who do want to work. If you don't want to work,
Yeah.
stay at home,
Yeah.
be who you are there, and let
Ulinde
them,
ube slay queen lapho.
yes, and do whatever you want to do, but don't clog the pipeline.
Don't clog the
Because
pipeline.
awufuni.
Yeah.
Please can we just, your decision is awufuni. If that's not your intention, then pull my pipeline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kulabantu esike sithi are despondent, unemployed people. And because there's a different treatment and diagnosis and solution for you, we've got to work on the person first before we give them a new skill, make them teachable, and put them into the market. Umuntu who comes with that type of a chip on the shoulder won't serve other people in the organization, won't serve people.
Akubona umsebenzi wami loyo. Angiqashelwanga lokho. It's not in my KPA.
Won't serve the organization, won't serve customers because, oh my gosh. And ultimately also will always have a reason not to work as opposed to work.
Yeah.
The ability to work, like put work into action. And I'm not going to say work smart or hard. The ability to work right now is probably the most precious commodity out in the talent market. And there's a whole lot of people at the moment who don't want to work, but expect remuneration for that. It's kind of weird. So you've got to train yourself to work. You know, we often laugh and talk about how being raised, particularly as girls, you know, most less so than boys, you were always being made to clean things and move and whatnot and so forth. Look, you don't have to be as stringent as perhaps our generation of parents was, but everything else in development, your muntu. My mother used to love saying
Oh,
this.
yes.
Everything else in development, your muntu, can be fixed, can be taught, and can even be supplemented, supported, and resolved by therapy if you need to. Ne?
Yeah.
But the one thing you can't take to therapy by or teach is work ethic.
Yeah, work ethic. It's so true. That's so true. Yabona thina sikhu kade ngisasho nje hey ngithi hayibo isitupu thina sikhula ufrey uguqe la when so it's that's work ethic. It was actually to a certain extent training us to actually do have that kind of work ethic. Uyazi nje kuyasetshenzwa nje
emhlabeni.
And work
ethic where corner was about routine. So routine is up early and active, productive. There's a result here. Get it done. Emsebenzini nakhona kunjalo. You are by the contracts, etc. expected. You know, I think you know work from home has also made people a little bit all over the show, irrespective of what work you do, whether you're in a
going through the
creative
most
space, etc. There is work to be done. People don't show you online the blood, the sweat, the tears, the sleepless hours, the process. People show you the results, and also inking is now. This is a highlights reel.
Of course. I mean, really. If you don't understand that now, muntu omusha awukho serious nangempilo ke nje.
And there are people, unfortunately, who take this is the gospel, and that is a problem, right? Because it means now you can't problem solve, and this, from a skills perspective, is gold. People who can solve problems, preferably for a profit. A lot of young people say, I want to be an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurship has also then now been thrown into the skills debate. Okay, if you're then go start your own thing. Yeah, but you cannot you cannot be an entrepreneur if you have no work ethic. Enterprise abani
uvilapha wena.
Exactly, you can't. Similarly, you cannot be an entrepreneur if you don't solve problems. You need customers, and customers come to you because there is a problem that you solve for them for money. So if you've decided to, hey, when inking are not your portion, entrepreneurship,
inking not my portion.
You know? As a country, what we've unfortunately done is that the moment abantu abasha cannot be employed by formal structures in our economies, entrepreneurship. And we are worsening the problem.
Are we?
Yes.
Okay.
We're worsening the problem because, again, back to fundamental skills.
Yes.
We are sending these poor people into the most hyper-competitive Shark Tank of their lives, right? If you think M17,
some friends of mine used to laugh at me. This was about 10 years ago. I used to say this. I would be like, yeah, no, it's fine. Welcome to the jungle.
Yes.
It's a jungle. Yeah.
Like the entrepreneurship, if you think, you know, corporate, you have to walk in with a laptop and a pen and a piece of paper. Entrepreneurship, bush, an axe, and like a weapon, basically, because that is almost the most competitive space. And if when also figure manje, and you have to now compete with people who have experience, who have intention, who have learned the game, good and bad, right? Who know the system, like we're talking about design thinking, who know the system, who know how the process works. You're going to compete with people who have rigor in terms of how they apply themselves, implement, change and switch code between things, and also people who are willing to do anything.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing.
Yeah.
People
yeah.
are also willing to do anything to get the thing done or the money at the end of it, right? Also figure lapayana and you're going to fall short. And you're going to hate. You're going to hate the system, you're going to hate yourself, you're going to hate us
the
all.
competitors, the competitors
You
too.
will hate other people, by the way.
Yeah.
Abasempini efanayo neyakho.
Yes.
And what you're not going to realize is it's because you arrived wena empini uphethe uthi abantu lapha ngaphethe
Uphethe isliling.
uphethe
NjengoDavid.
njengoDavide ufice abantu inside the game carrying automatic rifles, you know? And you're going to hate that, right?
Yes.
And you're going to think it's a you thing. And it's going to go back to that doubt, that fear, that confidence issue.
Yes.
Whereas the base upon which you were building on was all over the show.
Yeah.
So I think as we close out, you know, and we specifically start talking about the skills thing, my 4 pointers for young people is the first is that intention, you know?
Of course.
We have to go back to a space and a time where people think. We have to. Because the moment people are aware and think, then they are able to create, solve, create ideas, work on them, implement, etc. So we have to go back to intention, because intention plants the seed that uyakwazi ukusebenzisa umqondo uphiwe wona ukuthi sizokwenza njani, right? The second for me is discomfort, right? Many of us no longer have skills that are no longer relevant. And if you are a person who is comfortable and you are not willing to learn, become teachable, shift yourself into challenging situations and whatnot, you are also coming to the point where you're going to become extinct.
Well, apparently the jobs that are here now won't be there in 20 years' time.
Not even 20 years'
Ngazi
time.
majabula bese
Kuyimanje.
ngirithayile.
No, but even some of the jobs that are here now, kuyimanje, more than half of them are already compromised and will be compromised in the next 5 to 10
Even
years.
further.
So it's going to shrink. And new people create new things, but if you're not adaptable, you're not going to be able to move to the next thing. And you're also not going to be open to the fact that, the wheels of fortune are changing. And with that, you are going to expect comfort when we are on a journey. We're going to ride, you know? Exactly. It's not a private jet this round. It's a truck. Tail flat sometimes at the back. No petrol and but sisemgaqweni. And
Kodwa
pothole.
Kodwa
Kune load
sisemgaqweni.
shedding, nedatha ibi kahle, but sisendleleni.
Namanzi aphinda phele.
Things of that nature. The third thing for me around skills is, I mentioned it earlier and I said work ethic is gold. And I encourage young people, get in the door. There are no dirty jobs, lower jobs, ugly, undesirable jobs, jobs that are reserved for other people, foreigners, illegal immigrants, whatever you've been told. Go to work. Take an opportunity. Don't get to the opportunity and become comfortable. Back to that first one. I need to see your intention with taking the opportunity is to go to where you want to go. So use the opportunity to learn what you need to learn, get your foot in the door, and map and plan towards your intention. We have a lot of people who just at the very first step, get in, get comfortable, sit down and decide that that's it. And then they resent everyone, they hate everyone. Mina okay, when sis wagcina nini ukwenza CV, and then you start asking questions because mina ngiyababuza phela. Wagcina nini ukwenza ukuthi ugcina nini uku-apply la emsebenzini usufundeni, how have you hayi wena sis Lynette, you're testing me,
how because I'm here to help you,
but it's your problem, right? But more than that, get to the opportunity. Please prepare for the opportunity. One of the things that you're aware of that I do from time to time is gather young people and just talk about preparing to go into the world of work. And it was interesting. I set an exercise for the last group that I was chatting to. And we asked them to complete a task related to their CVs and responses prior to the session. It was very funny. We had about 29, 30, okay, it was about 34 of them ultimately on the call, right? And the session that we had. And 29 of them did not do what was asked for at all.
Wow.
So if you've got 33, 34 people,
oh
29,
my word. That's frightening.
right? 29. In fact, let me share this because I think as I close, it becomes so important that I do talk about this because a lot of the time we think other people are counting us out without taking note of the things in our search and in our doing that may be unintentionally and subconsciously counting us out of opportunities. And we see this a lot even in corporate because there you'll be stuck with 5,000 applications for 2 posts, right? How do I get down to the 2 people who get the post? And before even kutwenga a person, and I think, you know, we now live in this digital age where you submit my CVs online. There are softwares now available that do the scanning of the CVs beforehand. Now, in the scan process of the CV, it's out. Ushiwa mshini before you hate people at HR. and when you figure out what has the machine specifically kicked out, it's small things. So we had 33 of the guys. Everybody gets the email, so we confirmed that. 29 of them respond to the email, but don't give us the response we actually want. Only 13 of the respondents, the 29 respondents, gave us one part of the 3 things we'd asked for. Okay? No one in the whole group asked any questions related to the instructions in the email.
Okay, just to say maybe there's some that we're not understanding.
Yes. No clarification. No, how could I?
No
inquiry. Is this? Am I correct?
Wow.
Okay. Not one of them asked, right? Then of sort of the 29 emails, of them that we got, yes, they did one of the 3, and then the rest of them did 2 of the 3. Only one person followed all the instructions and got everything right. And only 2 out of all the emails received, all 29 emails we did eventually received, signed the email with their full name and a contact number. So you could be a two-baby.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Honestly.
Right? And I just thought it was important to share that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely critical.
That level of detail. You and I went back to the only people care about your parents and yourself. Nobody owes you it. If you show us you care, we will care too. Nsibande,
if you show us you care, we will care too. Follow instruction.
So, you know, and abantu love umuntu if yabona isikhombisa into yakhe enendaba nayo sike sonke sikheheke
ukuthi hayibo
kumnandi
yes.
noma ingaba ngangabi mnandi
kodwa ngathi khonto enzakalayo
you know, I always laugh and make the example of Christian Louboutin shoes. There's with the red soles, right? Those are the most uncomfortable, expensive shoes you will ever buy in your lives, and anybody who tells you those shoes are comfortable is lying. Okay, you can't wear those shoes for longer than an hour. And nakhona fanele ungene uhlale phansi usukume uphume, right?
Yes.
But somebody sold them to us. And
Yeah.
somebody told us they were premium
Yes.
shoes and
True.
made us care
True.
about owning a pair in
True.
our lifetime.
Yeah.
And made people care about owning tons of them. They made people care so much that nobody comes out publicly and
And
says,
say, "Yebo."
"Ngicathulo." Indlela esisi-invested ngakhona ngayo. Akekho osebuka naloko ukuthi, "Hey, bafethu,
Hey, uthi ngisho uZulu madam
Zi-
ngiyofaka.
yes, ziyabiza zibuhlungu." Do you know, that's how much we care about their brand, that we don't even tell other people the truth about it, right? We're willing to lie to other people
Yes.
on their behalf, right?
Yeah.
So the same principle it lies in interest, right? And meeting intention, right?
Yes.
Taking interest in things in the world around you, etc. The
Yes.
same thing. If your intent is met with interest, sizokulandela. And the same thing goes with asking questions. Bantu don't ask questions because they're too scared to, whatever the foundational reason is, ask questions.
Ask questions.
In-
Ngcono umuntu obuzayo.
Investigate. Idatha mayikhona yeindaba zabantu on social media ikhona eka Google yokufuna.
Yes.
And you know, abantu, the one thing I've realized, people are not hardwired to not help you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
People help strangers every day.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Every single day. And if ubuze kahle, abantu will go
Uzokunika.
out of
Yes.
their way
Yes.
to help you
To help
achieve
you.
your intention.
Yes.
Buza.
Yes.
Buza,
Yeah.
ube clear nawe, ubonakala ukuthi lokho kuyimisele ngale intention yakho sizokusi. Angeke ungasizakali throwing that out. And I think as we talk about skills, I know we've kind of gone all over the show, but I think the big thing is people must take what they have and learn how to play it to a market that has changed.
Take what you have and learn
learn
to play it to a market that has changed. Yeah.
If you think coding was
Yeah.
not there for gaming and those type of things 5 to 8 years ago, but today large corporations that understand what keeps us addicted to these phones will hire a 19-year-old with nothing but a basic education to drive technology and innovation in their company.
Yes.
That young person has gotten so good in
Yeah.
their limited 19 years.
Yeah.
Ukuthi umuntu omdala unazonke iziqu and all the masters in the world can't replace the interest and the creativity and the thought and the design thinking and everything that 19-year-old has managed to package in a very short amount of time. And I think, you know, young people in particular watch content stars, they watch influencers, they watch musicians and whatnot. The people in that game that's fast changing like that who have longevity. Esithanda ukuthi siloke sibalandela bekhula bahamba nathi behambe bekhula nathi.
Yeah.
So the people who keep changing
Keep changing.
and playing music to the game.
Yes.
The
Yes.
game's changing.
Yeah.
They play new music.
Yeah.
The game's
Yeah.
changing. They play
Yeah.
new music.
Siyangena manje mapiano.
Yes.
Azish.
Azish.
Okay.
There
All
we
right.
go. And so that as a skill
Yes.
is something that is you've got to figure out, and more importantly, you've got to take the things that you have and say, who am I playing to? Beseke, drive it through that way.
Yeah, so, but, you know, to me, there's a lot of thinking that
Yeah.
young people need to do. You have to think. Like, you have absolutely no way out of this. You have to think. Lynn, this is a lot.
This is a lot.
And we've just scratched the surface as
we
far as I'm
scratched
concerned.
the surface.
So I actually feel like, yeah, maybe sizobona ukuthi umoya usiholela kuphi kanjani bese siyawulandela umoya kodwa le ntshumayelo for the past two show, like the last show and this show, I feel like there's a lot that young people have learned, and there's a lot that they still have to learn from you. I'm hoping you will do something about this information.
Okay, I'll do something about this information.
I'm hoping you'll do something about this information. Iningi lento egcwele kuleli khanda.
Yes.
Yeah, I muntu omusha you know, namhlanje ngizwe kancane nje kukhulunywa ngohulumeni, ngizwe kancane kukhulunywa ngebhizinisi, okuningi kukhuluma nawe muntu omusha ukuthi wena, what are you going to do to make a difference in your life? What are you going to do to make a difference in your life? And lokho ngikhumbuza ngempela ukuthi some of us when we were growing up, kwakunezinto nje ku-clear ukuthi this is what's going to happen and this is how you're going to do it, and you have so much time. Some of us were given ama-time frames. Degree mayo 3 years, uyiqeda in 3 years. There's no luxury yokuthi maybe mhlambe kwasha kwacema, no. So umuntu omusha kakhulu, it really is in your hands. Grab it and run with it. Grab it and run with it. Kamalami, Zodwa, Msimang, Nsibande, thank you for joining us. Ngiyatholakala ku Vibe FM on Wednesdays at 9:40 a.m. with Unoxolo. Siyabonga kakhulu to the team, the producer Ubusi Shabalala, and also technically Ubusi Kumalo, and of course the hospitality side Angel Mkize. Inkosi ayibusise iAfrika. Inkosi ayibusise iAfrika. Umuntu omusha ubusisiwe, ubusisekile, but you have to do something ngesibusiso sakho.